Hello everyone, Jeremy back here with another installment of the Rama tutorial that I'm putting together, and we're going to be basically hitting on this video a basic on, off, and fade. I'm not going to be doing anything custom. This is just a basic start to your programming. Now, as you saw in the previous videos, we've went ahead and set the tick marks and put up the grid. Keep in mind that you want the smaller the square, the more customizable your show can be. We have you can use the beat wizard, the tapper wizard, whatever, to make sure that the tick marks are actually on beat, but make sure you subdivide them. So in this case here we have 4 beats, or 4 squares or tick marks, whatever you want to call them, hash marks, in every beat of the song. Now this song here is the Charlie Brown song, the Christmas song. I don't even know what it's actually called, but it's one of the songs we're doing this year, and if I go ahead and start this, you'll actually see that right here, this one light that I've programmed to come on and go off every beat. So I know I have a good visual of where the beat is when I start to program. Also, as you can see at the top here, I have my waveform. Now I can toggle this on and off by selecting this button right here. I wanted it on or off. I like to see it because I can see or kind of pick out where the beat is, and it does help me. Whether it helps you or not, it's up to you. In this case, what I'm doing is actually using my tree. I have 8 rings plus the star, so 9 full channels that are going to be used as kind of like a piano keyboard. So let me go ahead and select here where it says play. I'm going to bring down where it says play range and do visible screen. Now, by selecting this, if you have full sequence, every time you hit play, it's going to start from the beginning of the song and play until you stop. But it'll always start at the beginning. You have selection, meaning if I highlighted a particular selection, that's what it'll play. From selection to selection, this means it'll play from the beginning to this where I have it marked, or from where I have it marked and continue to play to the end, or visible screen. I like to use visible screen when I'm programming. This way, when I hit play, it plays what is on my screen. Now if you can see, pay attention here, hopefully you can see that I've actually went ahead and started programming. Move this up just a little bit. And it's actually synced pretty well with the music. Kind of like a piano keyboard. This is what I'm doing. I've got my channel 8 and 6, and then it goes up with the music, and then it comes back down with the music and the rhythm. Now this is very jumpy and very choppy, so it's going to, as it is on, it's very choppy. There's no fade. If I wanted to fade it to make it much smoother, I'll customize that once I get the basics done, and then change that. So basically what I did here is I just selected the green button here, which is your on, and then I selected taking my time and finding out how the rhythm goes. This is really your most time-consuming part, and selecting the rhythm. Okay, da 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 da, and then playing it over and over again to be able to get the lights to come on the right time in the right order to make it look good. If you come up here to play and you come down to speed, you can actually slow down or speed up the tempo. So if you have a very fast moving song where the tempo changes, let me shut this down here. If you have a fast moving song where the tempo changes very quickly and you need to slow it down to hear it or to program it, you can change the speed now when you play. This might help you with programming, but make sure that you come back here and you select it to normal speed when you're done. Alright, I've got this part. This probably took me a good half hour, 20 minutes or so to get this specific spot done. Alright, and what we'll do is I'll go ahead and select my play range. I'll do full sequence, and let's hear what we've got so far. And again, we're just focusing on the tree part right now, and then we'll go to the next section and do something. that's where I have programmed so far too. Again, this is basically just on. Like if I wanted this section to come on, I highlight it or I click each individual square and going up and down, basic common sense stuff, up and down with the music, what I want to do. If I make a mistake, I can click here. I can turn that off by clicking anything that's on and it'll go off. You can also do the toggle, which is right here. If you click it once, it'll come on. If you click it off again, it'll go off. So it does basically whatever the opposite is. Okay, so you can see that it'll turn basically whatever's on off and whatever's off on. Also, if you're on the on here and you highlight something and say, "Ooh, I don't want this one," you can actually right click and then turn this off manually if you don't want to come and switch it. But you have a bunch of different options to basically turn on and off, and these are your basic just on off switches. Alright, now once I've gotten this section, which is a good substantial part of the song, I can easily copy and paste this song to the second verse. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go back to where I started, which is this it? Yeah, it's right here. I'm going to select play range again, just to do visible screen. I'm going to do the selection tool, okay, and I'm going to highlight from the downbeat, which is, you can see right here, this is the actual downbeat. The actual song or the music or the melody starts on the half beat or on the quarter beat. So I'm going to select what I want to copy, and I'm actually going to move it over, and I'm going to select the entire thing that I've programmed. I'm just dragging the box over to the end, and that's the end there. Okay, and I'm actually going to end it right here. Okay, now that selection is highlighted. I'm going to right click and just hit copy. Now keep in mind, if you hit cut, it'll erase it. It will still copy it to your clipboard, but it'll erase it. And if you ever make a mistake, if you try to select this and one of, like, let's say the green thing was selected, or the on was selected, and you try to highlight it, it'll turn the entire box on. Do it all the time. Just hit the undo button. It's right here. It will undo whatever mistake you made, and then you won't get. I got a little panicky at first, thinking that I had just covered up all my work. So, all right. Since we have copied that, we're going to move over to into the song a little bit, because there's this little break in the middle, and I still got to go a little bit further. And that's where I need to start, right there. So I'm going to right click and hit paste. And if I put it in the right spot, now keep in mind tempos do change and things do happen, so there might be some adjusting. But if I did it right, I should be able to, let's go right to here, we'll hit play. And it seems like it's lined up really well. In this case, I have this spot right here selected. I'm going to go over to play, change play range, and do from selection. I don't want it to start at the beginning, I want it to start right here. And I want it to continue to go until I tell it to stop. So I'm going to go ahead and hit play. And I'm basically going to just test this section to make sure that, even though I've copied and pasted it, that it's still lined up with the music. And it looks like it's delaying a little bit right here. See, and this part of the song is a little different than the first part, so I'm going to have to come in here and correct that. But I minimized some of the work I had to do. So we'll go ahead and select here. Oops, see, I turned that on. I don't want that on, so I could just hit undo and it turns off. And I'm going to change again the play range to visible screen, and I'm going to play. And you can see it goes dum da da, instead of starting the new verses, actually does this right here. So what I can do is actually hit my selection tool, and I can highlight this, copy it, and we're going to start most likely right here in this section. Paste. And as you can tell, since I started here, let me actually go back. This is the way it was before. And if you look down here, the note actually started on the very last, the quarter beat of the previous note. So when I select it here, you can see that this note starts on the downbeat of this new note. So in theory, it should start on the downbeat of this note. But if I right click and paste here, it doesn't delete that quarter note from before. So I'm just going to go ahead and delete that quarter note. Again, take the time to pay attention to the details, because you might not catch them. But if you make sure to look for them, you'd hate to catch them when you're sitting out in your yard watching your show, going like, oh man, that's coming on a quarter note quicker. And for some of you that might not make a difference, but for me it drives me insane. So I've learned that the hard way. So just try to pay attention to your programming. So let's go ahead and try it and see if it's timed right, which it is. I'm going to go ahead and select this part here. This is what we had pasted before. I'm just going to go ahead and delete it so it's out of the way. And it looks like right here it repeats again. So I'm going to go ahead and paste that again and see if the timing is right. And it looks right. And I believe the song goes into another rant there. So that's going to be a lot of custom programming for me. Basic on-off features. On-off. Easy to do. What I suggest you do is get the basics done. The on-offs, where you want them on, where you want them off. In this case, this is kind of a smooth song. I call it a smooth song to the fact that you know, it's piano. Maybe I don't necessarily want it to fade in, but I might want to fade it out, because the notes of a piano, you hit them hard, they come on instantly, but then they reverberate and they fade out. So what we'll do, instead of having these songs in so sharply, these notes in so sharply, I'm going to take and select the fade down button, and maybe just, instead of having it abruptly turn off, I'm going to have them fade off. Now it's going to take some time to do, because I'm going to go through and basically click on each one. Once I get whatever done, I can always go in and copy and paste to save a little time. But I think it'll make the song flow a little bit better. Now when it comes to fade, you have this little triangle ramp here. I suggested, well, I use the ramp, because if you look here, it just fades out. If you use the ramp, I can actually see the fade out much clearer. So I'll just go through, in the last quarter note, I will just add a ramp to it, or fade. So when you play, you can see the notes fade out a little bit. It's a little bit more smoother, and I think it'll flow a little bit better. I can actually have this fade out a little bit longer, so the notes or the display will kind of overlap and flow a little bit better with each other. However, it's up to you whether you want to spend that extra time, because this is where it gets time consuming. Now I've got a couple more minutes, so let me just show you real quick what I've done below. Now if you're listening to the song, you'll notice that you have the lower piano keys going. So what I'm doing is I'm taking another feature of my show. Another feature that I want to make sure to emphasize, that those notes that are being played on a different part of my yard. So I'm going to do that on the pillars, and I just timed them basically the same way and then repeated that. So just when it comes to your programming, you want to listen to the beats. You want to give yourself that as many squares to deal with. You can always add more squares to lengthen the notes, but it's hard to subdivide the notes if you don't give yourself a good platform jumping point. Fades are really great when smooth, or you want to, smoother sounding music, and on-off toggles. This is the majority of what you're going to do is going to be just on-off. So anyway, next video coming soon. We're going to go into a little bit more detail, and we're going to be looking at some of the things when it comes to intensities and things like that. So stay tuned.